So far in our unit on energy, we have learned that energy is the capacity to do work. Another word for capacity is ability. Or another way of saying that is that energy makes things happen. Some of the types of energy that we've looked at so far include kinetic energy, which is the energy of movement, heat energy, light energy, sound energy, and electrical energy. Another form of energy we've looked at is called potential energy, and potential energy is another way of saying stored energy. And some of the forms of potential energy that we've looked at include gravitational potential energy, which is the potential energy of an object inside a gravitational field, chemical potential energy, which is the potential energy stored in chemical bonds, elastic potential energy, which is the potential energy stored in an object that can return to its original shape, or nuclear potential energy, which is the potential energy stored inside the nucleus of an atom. Now we need to look at energy transfer. And transfer is a word that means moving from one object to another object. So when we talk of energy transfer, we are talking about energy being passed from one object to another object. And whenever an energy transfer occurs, the type of energy that we are transferring from one object to another will remain the same. To try and help understand this, let's look at two examples. The first example we have is a person kicking a soccer ball. Now, before the person has actually come into contact with the soccer ball, their foot has been moving in this direction. So we have here the direction of movement. And because the foot has been moving, it must have kinetic energy. The faster the foot moves, the more kinetic energy it has. The slower it moves, the less kinetic energy it has. When the person's foot, which contains kinetic energy, comes into contact with the ball, energy is transferred from the foot into the ball. So the ball, which was initially stationary, had no kinetic energy to start with, now gains some kinetic energy. And it gains that kinetic energy because some of the kinetic energy from the person's foot has been transferred into the soccer ball. What that means is the person's foot will actually lose some kinetic energy. And when it loses kinetic energy, it will slow down a little bit. And because the ball gains energy, it will start moving. And that is how you would use energy transfer to kick a soccer ball. Let's have a look at another example. This example does not use kinetic energy, it uses heat energy. So up here we have a flame, and the flame contains a lot of heat energy. And that flame is being directed onto a piece of metal pipe. Now, some of the heat energy from the flame, when it comes into contact with the pipe, is going to transfer heat energy. So there's a transfer of heat energy from the flame to the metal pipe. And because there's a transfer of heat energy from the flame to the metal pipe, what will happen is the metal pipe will start to rise in temperature as it gains more heat energy. The gas that was contained within the flame will lose some of its heat energy and cool down a little bit.